Hello Manchester United fans, welcome back to United Daily Updates. Here transfer news, the complete Manchester United summer transfer guide. What really happened this window? The summer transfer window has slammed shut, and Manchester United fans across the globe are asking the same burning question. Did we do enough? After months of rumours, speculation, and endless debates in pubs and on social media, the dust has finally settled. But what actually happened behind the scenes at Old Trafford? If you've been following the endless stream of transfer gossip, you might be confused about who actually joined the Red Devils and who left. Don't worry, you're not alone. This summer's window was filled with more twists and turns than a Hollywood thriller. Some deals that seemed certain fell through, while others came out of nowhere to surprise everyone. Let's cut through all the noise and get straight to the facts. What moves did United actually make? Which players walked through the doors at Carrington for the first time? And perhaps more importantly, which familiar faces said goodbye to Old Trafford? The real story behind United's summer business. Before we dive into the actual transfers, let's be honest about something. The internet is full of fake news and made-up stories about United's transfer activity. You've probably seen wild claims about the club signing players who never actually joined. That's why we're here to set the record straight with only the confirmed facts. The players who actually joined United. When you look at United's official website and confirmed announcements, the summer 2025 transfer window was actually quite quiet compared to what many fans expected. Here are the players who genuinely became Manchester United players. Matheus Cunha, the Brazilian winger. The first and biggest signing of the summer was Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. This move actually made a lot of sense when you think about it. Cunha had been impressive at Wolves, showing the kind of pace and skill that United needed in the final third. But why did United go for him? Simple. They needed more options in attack, and Cunha offered something different from what they already had. He can play on either wing or even through the middle as a false nine. His ability to beat defenders one-on-one was exactly what United's attack was missing. The Brazilian brings that South American flair that fans love to see. He's not afraid to take risks, try tricks, and make things happen when games are tight. These are exactly the qualities United needed after struggling to break down stubborn defenses last season. Diego Leon. The young Paraguayan. Next up was Diego Leon from Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. Now, you might be wondering, who is this kid, and why did United sign him? Leon is one of those signings that United make with the future in mind. At just 18 years old, Leon is seen as a player with huge potential. United scouts have been watching him for months, and they believe he could become something special. He's a midfielder with great technical ability and vision. Think of him as an investment in United's future rather than someone who will make an immediate impact. This type of signing shows United are thinking long-term. They're not just buying players for today, they're building for tomorrow too. Leon will probably spend time with the youth teams first, learning the United way and adapting to English football. Enzo Canabiak, the free agent. The third confirmed signing was Enzo Canabiak, who joined as a free agent from Le Havre in France. But here's the interesting part. He was immediately loaned out to Lausanne-Sport in Switzerland for the entire season. Why would United sign a player just to loan him out straight away? It's all about development and timing. Canabiak is another young talent who needs regular playing time to improve. Rather than have him sit on United's bench or play reserve football, the club felt he would benefit more from first-team football in Switzerland. This move shows how modern football works. United secured his signature before other clubs could, but they also made sure he gets the game time he needs to develop properly. The departures that actually happened. Every transfer window brings goodbyes as well as hellos. Some of United's departures this summer were expected, while others might surprise you. Christian Eriksen, end of an era. The biggest name to leave was Christian Eriksen, whose contract expired and wasn't renewed. This wasn't really a shock if you'd been paying attention. Eriksen had been at United for a while, but his playing time had been limited recently. The Danish midfielder brought experience and quality when he arrived, but football moves fast. Younger players had started to take his place in the team, and both sides probably felt it was time for a change. Eriksen's departure frees up wages and squad space for United to use elsewhere. It's nothing personal, it's just how football works sometimes. Victor Lindelof, Swedish goodbye. Another player whose contract expired was Victor Lindelof. The Swedish defender had been at United for several years but never quite became the first-choice centre-back many expected him to be. Lindelof was always a solid player, reliable, professional, and rarely made major mistakes. But in today's Premier League, being solid isn't always enough. United needed defenders who could offer more in possession and aerial duels. His departure wasn't acrimonious. Sometimes players and clubs just naturally part ways when contracts end. Lindelof gave his best years to United, and now he's free to find a new challenge elsewhere. Jonny Evans, from player to staff. Here's where things get interesting. Jonny Evans also saw his playing contract expire, but his story didn't end there. Instead of leaving United completely, he retired from playing and was immediately appointed as head of loans and pathways. This is actually a brilliant move by United. Evans knows the club inside and out, having been there as a young player and then returning later in his career. His experience will be invaluable in helping young players develop and finding the right loan moves for them. It shows United are trying to keep good people at the club even when their playing days are over. Evans can now help the next generation of United players navigate their careers. Sam Murray, new adventure. The only permanent departure to another club was Sam Murray, who joined Carlisle United. Murray hadn't broken into United's first team, so this move gives him the chance to play regular football and continue his development. Carlisle United is managed by Mark Hughes, the former United striker, which probably made the move more appealing. It's always good to see young players get opportunities to play first-team football rather than staying on the fringes at bigger clubs. The loans and academy moves. United also sent several young players out on loan to get valuable playing time. This included Sonny Al-Jafri, who joined Notts County, and Enzo Canabiak, who went to Lausanne-Sport as we mentioned earlier. These loan moves are crucial for player development. There's only so much you can learn training with the first team. Young players need real games, real pressure, and real consequences to truly develop their skills. What about all those other names? Now, you might be wondering about all the other players you've heard linked with United this summer. What about Benjamin Sesko, Brian Bumo, or Sen Lamens? The simple answer is that many of these stories were either completely made up or were just speculation that never turned into reality. This is the problem with modern transfer windows. There's so much fake news and clickbait headlines that it's hard to know what's true. Social media makes it even worse, with rumors spreading faster than facts. The truth is, United were probably interested in several players but couldn't get deals over the line. Maybe the asking prices were too high, maybe the players preferred other clubs, or maybe United decided to spend their money elsewhere. Why was this window so quiet? Compared to some previous summers, United's 2025 transfer window was relatively quiet. But why? There are several possible explanations. Financial fair play rules. Modern football is governed by strict financial rules that limit how much clubs can spend. United, like all big clubs, have to be careful about their spending to avoid penalties. This means they can't just buy every player they want anymore. These rules force clubs to be smarter with their transfer business. Instead of making 5 or 6 big signings, they might focus on 2 or 3 key additions that really improve the squad. Squad balance. Maybe United's bosses looked at their squad and decided they didn't need massive changes. Sometimes the best transfer window is a quiet one, especially if you already have a good group of players. Adding too many new players can disrupt team chemistry and make it harder for the manager to pick his best 11. Maybe United felt their current squad just needed small improvements rather than a complete overhaul. Waiting for the right deals. It's also possible that United were working on bigger deals that simply couldn't get finished in time. Transfer negotiations can drag on for months, and sometimes deals that look certain fall through at the last minute. Rather than panic by players they weren't completely sure about, United might have decided to wait until January or next summer to make their bigger moves. What this means for the season ahead. So, what does United's transfer business tell us about their plans for the season? Let's break it down. More attacking options. The signing of Matheus Cunha shows United wanted more pace and creativity in their attack. This suggests they plan to play a more attacking style of football this season. Cunha gives them a different option from their other wingers, someone who can beat players and create chances from nothing. Investment in youth. The signings of Diego Leon and Enzo Canabiak show United are thinking about the future. They're not just buying players for this season, they're building for years to come. This long-term thinking is exactly what successful clubs do. Squad stability. The relatively quiet window might actually be a good thing. It means the current squad can build on what they did last season without having to integrate lots of new faces. Sometimes continuity is more valuable than new signings. The fans' reaction. As you might expect, United fans have had mixed reactions to this summer's transfer business. Some are disappointed that the club didn't make bigger moves, while others are happy with the focused approach. The disappointed camp. Some fans feel United needed more signings to compete with their rivals. They point to other big clubs making multiple expensive signings and worry that United are falling behind. These fans might have a point. The Premier League is more competitive than ever, and standing still can sometimes feel like going backwards. The optimistic camp. Other fans believe United made smart moves. They like the focus on young, talented players who could become stars in the future. They also appreciate that the club didn't waste money on panic buys. These fans trust the process and believe that building slowly but surely is better than making expensive mistakes. The reality check. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. United's transfer window wasn't spectacular, but it wasn't a disaster either. They addressed some needs while also planning for the future. Sometimes the best transfer windows are the ones that look boring at first but prove to be brilliant over time. Looking forward to January. Just because the summer window is closed doesn't mean United's transfer business is over for the season. The January transfer window gives clubs another chance to strengthen their squads. Will United be active in January? It depends on several factors. How the season goes. If United start the season well and the squad looks balanced, they might not need to make many changes in January. But if injuries pile up or certain positions look weak, they could dive into the transfer market again. Player development. The young players they signed this summer will have had a few months to settle in by January. If they're progressing well, United might promote them to the first team rather than buying more players. Available players. January is a tricky window because most clubs don't want to sell their best players mid-season. United would need to be clever about finding players who could improve their squad without costing too much. The bigger picture. When you step back and look at United's transfer strategy over the past few years, this summer's business makes more sense. The club seems to be moving away from buying big-name players for huge fees and instead focusing on younger talents with potential. This approach takes more time to show results, but it can be more sustainable in the long run. Instead of spending £100 million on one player, United can buy 3 or 4 promising youngsters for the same money. Building for tomorrow. The signings of Lyon and Canabiek fit this pattern perfectly. They're investments in United's future rather than quick fixes for today's problems. If even one of them becomes a star, the strategy will pay off. Learning from mistakes. United have made some expensive transfer mistakes in recent years. Maybe this quieter approach shows they're learning from those errors and being more careful with their money. What the numbers tell us. Let's talk about the money side of things. While exact transfer fees aren't always made public, we can make some educated guesses about United's spending this summer. The Cunha deal was probably the most expensive of their signings, but it likely wasn't a massive fee compared to some of United's previous transfers. The 2 young players would have cost much less, especially since Canabiek was a free agent. This suggests United spent modestly this summer compared to previous windows. Whether that's by choice or necessity is unclear, but it shows a more restrained approach to the transfer market. The manager's view. How does manager Erik ten Hag feel about his new squad? While he hasn't said much publicly about the transfer window, his actions on the pitch will tell us everything we need to know. If he starts the season with confidence and his tactics look sharp, it suggests he's happy with the players at his disposal. If United struggle early on, questions will be asked about whether they should have done more in the transfer market. The manager's job is to get the best out of whatever squad he has. Great managers can make average players look good, while poor managers can make good players look average. Competition analysis. How do United's transfers compare to what their rivals have been doing? This is always an interesting question for fans to consider. Manchester City. City have been typically quiet but effective in their transfer business. Arsenal. Arsenal have made some interesting signings that address specific weaknesses in their squad. They seem to have a clear plan and are executing it well. Liverpool. Liverpool have been relatively quiet too, focusing on keeping their current squad together rather than making big changes. Chelsea. Chelsea, as always, have been very active in the transfer market. Whether all their signings will work out remains to be seen. In this context, United's approach doesn't look unusual. Most of the big clubs have been more restrained than in previous years. The youth academy factor. One thing that might explain United's quiet transfer window is the strength of their youth academy. If promising young players are coming through the ranks, the club might feel less pressure to buy established players. United's academy has produced some excellent players over the years. If more are ready to step up to the first team, it could save the club millions in transfer fees. This is one of the advantages of having a strong academy system. Instead of buying players, you can promote from within. It's cheaper and often creates stronger bonds between players and the club. Fan expectations versus reality. There's often a gap between what fans expect in the transfer window and what actually happens. Social media and constant news coverage create unrealistic expectations that are hard for any club to meet. United fans might have expected 5 or 6 big signings, but the reality is that such massive overhauls rarely happen anymore. The days of clubs completely changing their squads every summer are largely over. This disconnect can lead to disappointment even when clubs make sensible decisions. It's important for fans to understand the modern realities of football transfers. The January window preview. As we mentioned earlier, January offers another opportunity for United to strengthen their squad. What should fans expect? Historically, January is a difficult window for major signings. Most players are settled at their clubs and don't want to move mid-season. The deals that do happen are often loans or emergency signings to cover injuries. United will probably only be active in January if they really need to be. If the squad stays healthy and performs well, they might not make any moves at all. Conclusion: a window of patience. So, what's the final verdict on Manchester United's summer 2025 transfer window? It wasn't the most exciting, but it might have been exactly what the club needed. By signing Matheus Cunha, United added a proven Premier League player who can make an immediate impact. By bringing in Diego Leon and Enzo Cannabich, they invested in the future. By letting contracts expire naturally and making smart staff appointments like Evans, they showed their thinking strategically about the whole club, not just the first team. Sometimes the best transfer windows are the quiet ones. Instead of making headlines with massive signings that might not work out, United have made careful, considered moves that address their needs without breaking the bank. The true test of this transfer window won't be the immediate reaction from fans and media. It will be how these players perform over the coming months and years. If Cunha becomes a key player and the young signings develop into stars, this window will be remembered as a success. For now, United fans need to be patient. Modern football is about long-term planning, not quick fixes. The club seems to understand this, even if it means some transfer windows feel a bit disappointing at first glance. The season ahead will tell us whether United's approach was right. If the team performs well and the new players contribute positively, the modest transfer business will look like smart planning. If struggles continue, questions will inevitably be asked about whether the club should have been more ambitious in the market. One thing is certain: United's transfer strategy is evolving. Whether this evolution leads to success remains to be seen, but at least the club is trying a different approach after some expensive mistakes in recent years. The beautiful game continues, and United's story is still being written. This summer's transfer window is just one chapter in a much longer book. Only time will tell whether it was a chapter worth reading.